If you've ever put your money into an investment or even just thought about it, you're stepping into a massive, high stakes game. So today, we're going to meet the referees, the people and the rules that stop Malaysia's financial markets from becoming a total free for all. I mean, it's a pretty simple question, right? But the answer is so important. When you buy a stock, you're not just putting your faith in that one company. You're actually trusting the entire system that it operates in. So who's making sure that trust is well placed? Just imagine a marketplace with absolutely no rules, no sheriff, and zero consequences. That's pretty much what an unregulated financial market is. It's a really dangerous place for your hard-earned cash, where the biggest, most powerful players can just make up the rules as they go. To really get a handle on the system, we've got to start with the most basic question of all. Why do we even need rules in the first place? Well, the answer really lies in the very nature of what's being bought and sold. See, the need for all these rules boils down to what we call securities. Now, unlike a car or a house, you can't touch a stock. It's intangible. Its value isn't in the piece of paper it's printed on. It's based entirely on information and promises about what a company might do in the future. And that vulnerability to bad information is exactly why a special rulebook is so critical. So this rulebook is basically built on three big ideas. First, and this is the most important one, is to protect you, the investor. Second, it's about making sure the game is fair for everyone, that the market is transparent and efficient. And third, it's about reducing what's called systemic risk, which is a fancy way of saying they want to stop one failure from knocking over the whole economy like a set of dominoes. These are the guiding principles for every single market referee. Okay, so what does this rulebook actually look like here in Malaysia? Well, the country's legal framework for the capital markets is really built on a few key pillars. A big part of that foundation is something called common law. You can think of it like a living, breathing rulebook that actually evolves with every single court case. It's basically judge-made law where past decisions set the standard for future ones. It provides a really flexible backbone for the whole system. Now, on top of that common law, you've got these specific acts of parliament. Don't worry, you don't need to memorize the names. But these are the core chapters of the modern rulebook. The SCMA, for example, is what created the Securities Commission in the first place, while the Companies Act lays down the law for how companies have to behave. Together, they spell out what the regulators can do and what your rights are as an investor. So, we've got the rules, but who actually blows the whistle? Who enforces them? All right, it's time to meet the referees. The head referee on the field, no question, is the Securities Commission Malaysia, or just the SC. It was set up back in 1993, and it's the main regulator with the power to investigate, enforce the rules, and its absolute core mission is to protect investors. This whole system didn't just appear out of thin air, it grew over decades. It started with the first public trading way back in the 60s, then came the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange, or KLSE. But the huge turning point was in 1993 with the creation of the SC as the central watchdog. That move really paved the way for the modern Bursa Malaysia we know today. Every step was about building a safer, more structured market. So, if the SC is the referee, you can think of Bursa Malaysia as the owner of the stadium. It's the actual marketplace, the playing field where all the buying and selling goes down. It provides the infrastructure, the tech, and the platform to make sure trading happens in a fair and orderly way. And Bursa Malaysia isn't just one single thing. It's more like a team of specialists. One part of the team runs the main stock exchange. Another one handles the more complex stuff, like derivatives. There's another really crucial part that acts like a secure digital vault for everyone's shares. And another one makes sure that when you sell something, the cash actually ends up in your account. Every single piece has to work perfectly for the whole game to run smoothly. Now here's where things get really interesting. Over the years, the entire philosophy of how to regulate these markets went through a massive change. And this wasn't just some tiny tweak to the rules. It was a complete, fundamental shift in strategy. This huge shift was from what's called merit-based to disclosure-based regulation. The old system was kind of like having a parent decide if an investment was good enough for you. The regulator was a gatekeeper. But the modern approach? It's all about empowerment. Now, the rule is simple. Companies have to disclose everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The burden is on them to tell the truth, and it's on you to make the final call. It's a huge transfer of power, right into the hands of the informed investor. Okay, so we've talked about the laws, the regulators, the big shift in philosophy. But what does all of this actually mean for you? Why should you care? It all comes down to this one single, powerful idea. At the end of the day, this whole complicated structure exists for one main reason: to look out for you. This quote just drives it home. The system's number one job is to make sure you're treated fairly and your investments are kept safe. And all of that protection, all of those rules, they're all designed to build the single most valuable thing in any financial market: trust. Trust that the info you're getting is real, trust that the game isn't rigged, and trust that if something does go wrong, there's a system there to deal with it. Because without trust, the whole thing just falls apart. So look, this whole framework isn't meant to scare you away from investing. It's the complete opposite. It's designed to empower you. It creates a level playing field where you can get in the game with confidence. So, knowing the referees are watching and the rulebook is there to protect you, the only real question left is, are you ready to play?